Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Political Job Interview, where I interview candidates running for election. I'm Vincenzo Calla, the host, and today I take on the role as the boss, giving a job interview to today's candidate, Zainab Alsalihiy. Zainab is running for election for Ottawa City Council as a candidate for Ward 22, Riverside South-Findlay Creek. Thank you, Zainab, for your time, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor, actually.
Well, it's great to have you here on the show, and let's get it started. As with any good job interview, I'm going to start off with an opportunity to learn more about Zainab. So the first question is, tell me a bit about yourself and your story.
Well, we came to Canada 33 years ago, and we first started off in Niagara Falls and ended up in Ottawa. I've gone to school here, I've worked here, I got married here, I have two children here, and now I'm running for City Council. Prior to the municipal election, I do work for Elections Canada. So I create your ballots federally. I'm quite proud of that. And I've also done a lot of international work for elections with different organizations. So I've gone to Liberia. I've gone to Ukraine, and also I've spearheaded the very first ever Iraqi elections here in Canada. I've distributed volunteers to observe their election, and I've also done elections for Tunisia, Moldova, and my volunteer work also consists of doing international volunteer work. I've gone to Bosnia for serving underprivileged children, orphan children, and it's like a camp, and you go and you give them food and activities, and it's a lot of fun actually. We've lived in Findlay Creek since 2016, and we've been here since. I used to live in the West End on Craig Henry, so it's very different, right? Like two totally different worlds. But yeah, that's about it.
So elections are not something new to you. You're very familiar, I'm sure, with the election process and how everything works. But I wanted to ask you, what made you decide to run this time? What made you decide to step forward in the municipal election and run for councillor?
So, another election that I've also done was the United States election in 2016, and this is where it all began. I was there. I was observing their election in Missouri, and I met this man, and he was on our team, but I had no idea who he was. And we kept talking and talking, and we're doing our thing. And then he looks at me and he's like, Zainab, this is after 2 hours, right? He's like, Zainab, you belong here. This is your thing. You need to do something about this. And this was way back in 2016. And life is happening at that point, and children and work. So it stayed in my mind. And then I look at my friend and I'm like, who is this man? She's like, he's the CEO of Saskatchewan Elections. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope I didn't embarrass myself. Okay. So we kept in touch, and he told me, he's like, Sam, you need to be in like marketing, sales. You're a people person. You gather people together, right? The years went on, and about a year and a half ago, I met another gentleman at Tim Hortons just randomly, and he happened to be somebody that I knew way back when, but I didn't remember. And he looks at me again after an hour or so, and he's like, Zainab, the elections are coming up next year or so, and you need to submit your nomination for candidacy. And I'm like, this is like the third person that's already told me this, right? All throughout my life, right? I've had people tell me this. So it hit me at that point, and I'm like, okay. But then again, I forgot about it. And I was one night, I was at home working late, and I step out of my car. I step out of my house and go to my car. It's at 2:30 in the morning, and I see somebody huddled over my car, and they're trying to rob me. And I'm like, oh my God. So I go and I like yank them from their collar, and it's raining heavily. And and they just stole candy from my car because the money was on the other side. Yay. So I look at, I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know. And I chased them off and I'm trying to be grandizer, like, and the whole bit. I'm calling the cops and, they came right away. But then at that moment, like not that moment, but the second day, I'm like, listen, we need to make a change. I think we need to see a different perspective. I think I can do it. I am a leader and I've taken so much from Canada. Like I've come here, I told you, 33 years, and we've gotten so much from the community. My children are here, my family, and I think it's time to give back. I think it's time to contribute on the municipal level. Yes, I contribute on the federal level, but on the municipal level, it's so much more personal, right? It affects us even more, so much more. And I do believe that with my experience, with my traveling, that I can bring forth something.
Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about the job and what you bring to it. So I know you already listed off some of your experience working in elections and all that, but I wanted to ask you what experience you do bring to this job, especially looking at the importance of city councilor. What do you bring to it?
So and a lot of people ask me this question and they say, well, Zainab, like why you? Right? And I say to them, I'm like, listen, I have the best of both worlds. I have my Western world that I've grown up here. I understand the needs of the people here. And I have the Eastern world. And I know what they want because I am Middle Eastern. And as an immigrant, I understand when somebody tells me, hey, we need this or this needs to happen. And on the other hand, when we combine those two worlds together, we can make great things happen. A lot, aside from the experience that I have at Elections Canada, I've worked at Elections Canada since 2008, on and off initially as contract. I've gained a lot of experience that way, my international experience. But I do believe that at the municipal level, when you're dealing with people, you do have to have a certain personality to be able to bring people together. So when we go forward that way and think about people's needs the same as our own needs, it makes that journey that much easier. I've gone to Algonquin also. I studied computer networking, and I don't know how that happened, but when you're young, you just throw yourself into anything. So I do have a lot of technical background that I can bring forth. And when you have that technical background and you have the personality and you have the experience internationally and nationally, you can make things move. You can make things go forward.
And I wanted to ask you as well. I believe there's 4 candidates running in your ward. There's not very many of you compared to a lot of other wards. And I wanted to ask you what sets you apart from the other candidates?
I think I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, one candidate is better than the other, and like nobody's better than anyone else. I think the way we look at things is different. I think we need somebody that has progressiveness for sure. And I also think that experience at the end of the day can be acquired. You want to go learn how to do something, you can learn how to do that. But I think when you connect with people on a different level, and you make them feel things that they've not felt before, in the sense that, hey, this person actually cares, this person is committed to making things happen and change is underway. I think that is something that not a lot of people can give automatically, that energy, right? Because between us 4 candidates, we're all experienced, we all have management skills, we all have all of that. Now, I don't know the other candidates very, very well, but for me, I can speak for myself. I think I do have that passion and that drive to ensure that we have the changes done.
Part of serving as an elected official is serving the people who elect you. We've been talking, you've mentioned serving the people a lot, so let's get into it and see how you do want to serve the people. So the first question is, what's something that the people of Riverside South-Findlay Creek need that you want to get done if elected?
So as I've been going door to door, and the first thing I ask them, after I introduce myself, I ask them, what are your major concerns for your community? And sometimes they're taken aback by that question. Not taken aback, but they're like, they have to sit there and think about it, right? And I tell them, well, this helps me build my platform, right? So I know what you need, because what I need may not necessarily be what you need. And almost about, I would say about 90% of the time, it's recreational centers, it's um, public safety, community safety, and OC Transpo and the LRT and that whole bit. And but we all know that we're all, us four candidates and all the candidates across the city are all talking about this. But what they do talk about is communication. Communication with their city councilor. Like, how do they have access to their councilor? How do they, feel that they're comfortable enough to reach out to them? So the things that we need to definitely work on is, yes, we need that recreational center ASAP. There's no question about it. We cannot wait another 4 years. We cannot wait another 2 years. Like, this needs to be done now. And that all ties in with public safety and the racing on the roads and the youth just not having anywhere to go, right? So and they treat our roads like they're Formula One racetracks. And I'm like, and as I'm canvassing and they're talking to me, the resident, and you see a car zoom right by, and it's a residential area. So there's a lot of things that we need to really definitely look at. And I do believe that we are far behind technology wise. I think we can bring forth a lot of the services by enhancing our technology, by ensuring that we do have the safety. I don't know how we're going to do that right now, quite honestly. Like, I'm not in there, but I think the ideas are there. And again, like I say, the most important thing is the communication. Once we get the communication to and from, so we understand what everybody wants, then we can assess and start to dissect exactly how we're going to do these things. And it all starts with that. But the major things, like I said, yeah, it's the recreational center, it's the speeding, it's the LRT, and the public safety.
Well, definitely, and Riverside South has grown. Your own ward now, that sort of Gloucester South Nepean has split in two. So Riverside South Findlay Creek is its own, and as you said, the recreation center LRT should be there soon enough, soon, within the next year, I hope. Hopefully, that's what it's supposed to be. But yeah, those are all the issues, and yeah, stopping that speeding, which is so
Critical.
familiar. It's
Yeah,
familiar to people, which is terrible, but
it
people know
is.
the speeding and it needs to be fixed.
And it definitely needs to be. And I always tell them, I'm like, listen, I travel internationally a lot, right? So I see how other countries are enforcing their speeding or things, the public safety. I'm like, I think we can incorporate, like, why aren't we looking outside the box? Let's see how they're doing it. It'll definitely generate revenue, and then people are going to feel safer. Like, listen, we're very fortunate to be in our community. It's a beautiful community, like you said. Riverside South is gorgeous. Like, I've been going there for the past like 3.5 weeks, and I'm like, why didn't why where is this happening? It's so beautiful, right? So, but Riverside South is much older, and yet we still don't have the amenities and the recreational center that they deserve there. It's a lot of families that I've been talking to, they're actually heartbroken. They're like, why is my son now or my daughter in university and they've never experienced that community center or a recreational center in our own neighborhood or community? And I feel for them, because my son is 16 and my daughter is 12, and I have to drive all the way to Orleans or Canada or wherever just so I can put them in the programs that they want to be in. And I don't think that's convenient for anybody. you
It, it it isn't. And I guess let's go into the last question now. which is what's one accomplishment that you've achieved that demonstrates why you'll be a good elected official if the people choose you?
One accomplishment that I've achieved, I spoke to you a little bit about spearheading the Iraqi elections. So this was in 2014, and it was the very first election that we've ever had after the fall of Saddam Hussein, and we had voters from all across the country, from Montreal all the way to Vancouver. Also, we had people, polling stations in Seattle and Windsor. And that, so you can understand how huge the turnout was. They came up to me and they said, Zainab, we need to get these people trained. We need to get these people distributed. And, you have to talk to all these people all across the board. We made badges. We set up teams and distributed everybody in a matter of 2 weeks. So yes, I can work very well under pressure. We've created the report at the end of the election, and we worked with another organization, IHEC, and when you see that you are capable of putting out all these people, I think there was over 150 people that we've situated all across the country. It was quite spectacular because it's never happened before for Iraqis to even be able to vote ever. And if they were going to vote, it was by force and they had to vote for one person, right? So just seeing how everybody was so engaged and so happy and that you've contributed to that, I think when I'm at the municipal level, and I know when I'm at the municipal level that when I bring people together, when we are discussing, when we are talking, you can accomplish a lot in that sense. So I bring forth my education, I bring forth my experience that I've had internationally, and I do believe that I bring forth my own person, that I can engage and interact with everybody out there.
Thank you, Zainab, so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me. I've been looking forward to this the whole campaign.
Well, it was great having you on. I'm glad that we were able to get you on during the municipal election series, and I'm sure the viewers have enjoyed hearing what you have to offer to them as well. So election day is October 24th. If you liked hearing what Zainab Alsalihiy had to say and live in Ward 22, Riverside South-Findlay Creek, you have the opportunity to vote for her on election day. Check with your local election officials for more details. To stay updated, make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at VC Productions25. Check out my website, VincenzoCalla.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, and choose to get notifications here on YouTube. The Political Job Interview is a VCalla production. So until the next video, I'm Vincenzo Calla, signing out.